Welcome back to the Delaware Way. I'm Larry Menti. We are with House Majority Leader Valerie Longhurst, a Democrat from Bear, Delaware. We're talking about a sweeping package of bills that they were presented as dealing with women's issues, but many of them are non-gender issues. For instance, this next one we're going to talk about, we've been going through each one of the bills. One of the bills would make full-time public employees with at least 1 year of employment eligible for 12 weeks of maternity or paternity leave. So I'm surprised actually that you didn't already have that. So that one should be pretty easy to get through, right?
Well, we're hoping. You can never say anything is easy.
And so you would think that there'd be some pushback on that?
Well, you know, you can't guarantee any legislation because it goes through the process. So I'm hoping that's a good piece of legislation that should get passed.
A bill that would make it so that employees could take leave because of they're a victim of domestic violence?
Yeah, and actually the prime sponsor of that bill, Representative Stephanie T. Bolden, has personal experience with that. And we want to make sure that, you know, you're a victim once, but, you know, we should be able to hold their jobs and make sure that they can come back because they're going through a lot. And it's just an added protection for women to make sure that they can go back to their employment.
Does the domestic violence have to be proved or claimed?
Claimed.
So anybody that claims domestic violence?
Well, they're going to have proof. I'm sorry. They will have to have proof, but, you know, it will be one thing that we make sure that, you know, it's just not like I'm just going to claim it and then it's going to happen. They're going to have to show proof through a doctor or what have you.
Now, here's one that I guess could be a little bit controversial, and it really is the first one in all of these. Some of these are just common sense, but a bill that would mandate any company awarded a state contract to certify that it engages in fair wage practices. When you use the term fair wage practices, what does that mean?
Well, we want to make sure that it's equality, so equality with men and women. But it doesn't take out the fact that if the person has seniority or has been there longer, so it doesn't take in the definition of, you know, there may be somebody who's been in the workforce for 10 years as opposed to somebody that's 5 years. So it's really based on their length and longevity, and that's actually my bill.
So it's not across the board. You don't just look and say, hey, at your company, women aren't paid as well as men. You need to look at the real world factors like experience and occupation. Well, and then that makes some sense. See, now I thought I found controversy and I don't.
That's my bill. So you lucked out on that
one. Why? Because we would have got into it?
Yeah.
Well, see, darn it, that would have been good TV. The two bills that deal with health care, the first would allow mothers who are breastfeeding to delay jury service.
I know. I don't know why we haven't done that currently. So, I mean, that's, again, one of those no-brainer bills.
That's not an excuse right now? You can't say I'm breastfeeding my child and you get out of jury duty?
It's hard to get out of jury duty, period, you know, but, you know, that is one that, you know, we want to make sure that women, I mean, that's an important part of the development of a child, and it should be exempt. And it doesn't mean that they get out of jury duty. It's just that they can postpone it.
Second would require physicians to educate prenatal patients and families on the warning signs and symptoms of postpartum depression. We don't have to talk about that one. That one seems also, it's pretty much common sense. Many of these are common sense, and I guess the surprising thing is that they haven't been done already.
I know, but I'm glad that you say that. You should actually be a legislator to help us get that process through faster, those bills. So, but yeah, they're not, and that's why we spent a good amount of time researching and collaborating with a lot of different advocacy groups, law enforcement, the Department of Justice, to make sure that we got a package of bills that made sense and that better the state of Delaware and the women in Delaware. So we did come up with that. It took us a while, but we've got a lot of sponsors. It's bipartisan. It's a House, a Senate. Even my male colleagues are involved in it and are really gung-ho about getting some of this legislation done. And the great part about it is that, you know, we end in June. If we don't get things done in June, we have another year to get it done. So we will be patient. We will go through the process, and I'm optimistic that we'll get, you know, these simple
believe me, I was in the other room studying this, trying to find out a way to make it a little bit more controversial and to do battle with you. But some of the things are such common sense that I would imagine that most of these would get right through. How many women are in the legislature?
There's 15 women, which is 24% of the General Assembly. Over the years, it has gone down. But the women that we do have in the General Assembly hold very powerful positions. Our President Pro Tem is a female, Senator Blevins. We have the Senate Majority Leader is a female. And then in the House, we have the House Minority Whip is a female, and then I'm the House Majority Leader. And we also have women that are actually chairs of big money committees and You know, you met Representative Deborah Heffernan, who's a chair of the Department of Natural Resources. So we have women. We may be small, but we are very powerful.
It's not quantity, it's quality.
Exactly.
Of the women.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you'd like to get more women involved in the process.
We are, and we do try to recruit women because, you know, they add a different element to the General Assembly. When you're sitting in caucus with men and women, by having both sides, that, you know, male and female, you get different perspectives, and it just makes for a more well-rounded General Assembly. And these bills, I have to give big kudos to my colleagues, and our men have been very supportive of it. And if you saw in the press conference, they were standing behind us. So we're a good group of people, and we respect one another's opinions, and we challenge each other, but at the end of the day, we make it happen.
Well, again, so many of these I think are just common sense, so I don't think you're going to have much trouble with most of them. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming in today. House Majority Leader Valerie Longhurst. Stick around. The Delaware Way continues, and we'll be talking about, you may not even know it existed, the World Trade Center in Delaware.